Hello, hello. This is Richard Hobbs. This is richardpaulhobbs at gmail.com. This is 11/15/2018. It's Thursday morning. It's about 7 o'clock. And around 6 o'clock this morning, this is the bathroom at 1 Caryl Avenue, apartment 6, Yonkers, New York. And this is the pipe that the heat comes up through in my apartment in the bathroom. Comes from the floor, goes straight to the ceiling. If there's heat in the building or in this apartment, this is going to be hot, and I can't touch it. If you look at my other video that I made about 5 o'clock this morning, and it's on pourfortrump@gmail.com, you will see that I was able to touch this pipe because it wasn't hot, because there was no heat. But now around 6:40, this heat started to make sounds, and now it starts to go up through the building, and I can't grab this and hold it without burning my hand. I don't know how else to show evidence the fact that there's no heat in this building from 12 midnight to about 6, 7 a.m. in the morning, except to make these videos and put them out and hope that someone sees them. I'm putting them on YouTube. I will try to put them on Facebook and try to spread them around, because I'm not an idiot. I'm not lying. I'm not cheating. But there's been no heat in this apartment for these times. I hope that somehow this can be used as evidence in a court, along with the heat chart that I write that shows the numbers. I'm basing it on the temperature that the phones say is outside, and I have no way to tell what the temperature is in my apartment. My thermometer broke, and even if I have a thermometer, I don't know how I would prove apparently everybody thinks that I'm lying, which I'm not. And although for 6 years there's been no heat here from midnight to 6 a.m., the inspector, health inspector, the building inspector, at best will come at 10 o'clock in the morning. And since the landlord or the management puts the heat on around 7, 8 in the morning, by 10 in the morning, heat is on. And so the way the city goes about enforcing this law, they have no means or no way for anyone to come out and look at or identify the situation at 3 a.m. in the morning. So therefore, this landlord, and I suppose any other landlord, cannot have heat. And then, I don't know. I'm handicapped. It's hard for me to get around and get all the evidence and put it together and present it. But I'm trying to do it. And I hope that on Monday that they won't force me to do this trial, because I'm not prepared for it. I'm not ready. I have to get the evidence together, the subpoenas and the witnesses that will prove through a preponderance of evidence that I'm not lying and that there's not been heat here. And I have to subpoena all the people who live in this building, because most of them won't come voluntarily. A lot of them are working, and they will all dislike me for doing it. But if I get 37 tenants here and ask them all whether there's heat in the building at night, except for the ones that are lying, they'll say there's no heat. Unless the landlady puts heat in parts of the building and doesn't put it in other parts. I don't know what's happening. And all I know is that I can try to show what I can see and know and touch and hear and feel. And right now the heat's on. So thank you, and I will stop this. But this is richardpaulhobbs at gmail.com. This is copyrighted by me. And there's videos on pourfortrump at gmail.com. You search that in YouTube, you'll see the other videos. And the other is in our church. It's under nyoschurch@gmail.com. And if you start looking at those things and subscribe to them, you'll see that I have a long 2 or 3 year record of all the evidence and information on the YouTube. It's out in the public about what's going on here. But since I'm poor and since I'm conservative and since I'm trying to do what's right, the liberals and the YouTube and all these people, the media, everyone sort of stands against me and doesn't want to let it be shown. So only if you search with my whole emails will you find our channels, and then nobody will subscribe, nobody will look at them, but you could look at them, and then you'll be doing what's right and helping me to help solve the problem, which is that in this whole building there's no heat in the night, and it's not good, it's not safe, it's a fire hazard, it creates all sorts of problems. And the building department, the fire department, the police department, the city of Yonkers is grossly negligent in that it has a scheme that the way it goes about, quote unquote, enforcing these things isn't an enforcement at all. Instead, it allows building owners to violate the law and not provide heat when it should be. And but in the daytime, they can always show that there's heat if necessary. I don't know the exact extent, but dear Jesus, please save Mr. Losco. Please save Mrs. McBain. Please save her son, the attorney, Charles E. McBain. Please save her daughter, Eleanor C. O'Connor. I think that's the correct identification to these people. Please save the 37 people who live in this building. Please save Richard Hobbs, that's me. Please save people and send me witnesses, send me solidarity. Please send the police, the two fire marshals that were here on 2 occasions and seem to have some agreement with me that their things aren't being done right here. And please let the Inspector General look into it. And please save the poor commissioner who apparently Mr. Losco was able to deceive by showing him pictures and giving a statement that isn't valid, that isn't smart. It's not correct, and it misrepresents the facts, and it's not based on what's correct, which is that I do not ever have, I've never had the radiators covered up so that heat can't get out. And that fact is that makes no sense, because if there is stuff around the radiators, instead of not letting heat get out, that stuff's going to act as a heat sink. And a heat sink is something that absorbs heat and holds it. And so when the heat is going up, instead of just going up through this pipe and going upstairs and making it very hot towards the high floors, and when the heat sinks absorb this heat and they get hot, then when she turns the heat off, then they continue to radiate heat into the room. So it helps me to get a little bit more heat than I would get if I don't have things around the radiator. So Mr. Losco's contention that I'm the fault because I have the things surrounded with stuff that prevent the heat from coming into my apartment is not correct. If there's no heat going through the pipe, it doesn't matter whether I have stuff around the radiator or not. It's not going to allow heat to get into the building. There's no heat into the rooms. There's no heat in the pipe. If there is heat in the pipe, those things are going to absorb the heat, hold on to it, keep it in this apartment rather than let it run quickly up. And the heating of this apartment will continue. That's what the pipe does and the radiators do. They're metal and they absorb the heat and they hold it and they radiate it into the room. And so all the things they're saying about me having too much stuff and hoarding is a lie because of the meaning of hoarding, which is I'm hoarding it, I'm not putting it out in the open, I'm hiding it. But I'm not hoarding anything. I'm a collector of videotapes. I watch videotapes. I don't buy cable. I don't get my entertainment that way. I get it inexpensively through watching videotapes. And I collect books. I have an encyclopedic set of books in my house, so I can learn anything and study anything. And I have Bibles and Bible study books because in my house I have my church, which I founded, which is called Yours Church, and I teach people who want to learn about Jesus. I teach them about Jesus and salvation. I don't get paid for it. I don't make money off of it. I'm very poor. I help the homeless. I do it for free. I help them. I pay them. I help give them money. I help anyone I can help anytime I can. I'm on SSI. I don't get more than $2,100 worth of value. I get about $800 money and $150 for food, and they help pay my rent. And that's what I do. I'm not into this for the money. I'm into it for helping. I could have moved away from here long ago, but I didn't, because I thought I had to stay here and try to figure out how to make the city require the landlord to put heat here at night. But the city doesn't want to know that the landlord isn't putting heat here at night. They want to be able to be deceived that the landlord is putting heat here when she's not. And so that's how they are being grossly negligent, in my opinion. And that may be the wrong definition of what they're doing, but it describes it very well. And so I hope that we will win a case and that this will get straightened out. And then, because I've tried to organize people and do something to get the building out of the hands of the management of the MS Properties, because they don't know how to manage the building, and that's the cause of all the problems. Everything that they complained about in the suit against me, the residential holdover, the petition, everything in that is based on the fact that there's been no heat here for 4 or 5 years that I've lived here. I have to go to sleep wearing my coat and my gloves and my hat, and I sweat all night long, and so I stink, and I can't get washed in the morning because I can't wash because the other people have to wash first because they got to go to work or school, and so by the time I get to wash, there's no more hot water, and so I've lived here and not been able to enjoy or use the place or inhabit it because of all the things the landlord fails to do to manage the building well. And so I think that it needs to be corrected. And so that's my position. And I made this a little longer than I wanted to. But if you want to help, then subscribe to this. Look at this channel. It's richardpaulhobbs@gmail.com. You have to put all of that into the YouTube search and you'll get my channels. Otherwise, you won't, because they won't let it go through because they don't seem to favor that I should share any of this information with anyone. And otherwise, you can look under poor4trump@gmail.com, and you'll see other things, videos I've made in my other channel. And the third one is endyourschurch@gmail.com. You put any of those into YouTube and start searching, and you'll find us, and then they'll connect some of them to each other. I'm not a professional at this, and I know that they're not the best videos in the world because I can't fancify them because I'm crippled and I'm in a wheelchair, and I'm not blind, but I can't see that good. And to do anything that takes you a day takes me 3 days. It's hard to do it, and then when I'm trying to heal my feet are injured. They've been injured for way too long. They got injured. The injuries of my feet were complicated by the fact that I lived here for 2 years with no heat. And that's wrong, but that's what happened. And then I almost died, and they wanted to cut my foot off. That was all the result of me having to be in this apartment for 2 years and never have heat at night. Or at least that was the main cause of it, in my opinion. So I've said all I'm going to say at this point. Dear Jesus, please save me. Please save us. Save these poor people who are doing these things to profit themselves and benefit themselves, and to have it be harmful for the tenants in this building. And please help the tenants to have a spirit of cooperation so we can get together and so we can do something legal to get the management of this building taken away from the current managers and put into the hands of professionals who might do it right. Make sure there's heat, make sure there's no mice and rodents, exterminate and clean and do what's right. And then the end result of that will be that we will be getting the services that we pay for through our lease. Thank you very much. Jesus, save us all. Amen. Bye.